Can't convince me that wasn't pass interference. Come on, come on, come on, come on. All right. All right. Water bottle. Don't see it. All right. All right. Yes. Greater. Accomplishments. Come on, give me everything but what I want. Team. All right, I guess I spelled it right. I don't know. Not worried about it right now. Hopefully I get a little action today. Got a little rapping to do. All right, good morning. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Wannabe Colton says, hello, how you doing, Wannabe? Got a little bit to talk about today. I had to take yesterday off. I had to go do a little medical procedure. You know, when you start getting old, the threat of stroke becomes real. Not that I felt like I was in any danger of strokes, but I had a strange occurrence. I was backing up the vehicle, and you know, when you turn your head to back up, I must have turned it too far. And when I did that, I almost blacked myself out. So if I didn't hurry up and pull my head back, I was going to pass out right there trying to back up. That never happened to me before, but I found out that one cause of that could be blocked carotid arteries. So I had to go see about that, man. So luckily, nothing's wrong, but I don't understand why that happened. Maybe I just overextended, but no. So that was my adventure yesterday. But a couple of days ago, the question was asked of old Cam Newton, and he's always good for a quote, because you never know what he might say. And while you think he might be jiving, he's actually, I don't think he is. I think his comments are what he really believes. All right? Yeah, I'm fine, Wannabe. Like I say, I was just doing precautionary. Everything's cool. But Cam Newton, when asked, because he doesn't have a Super Bowl championship, he was asked, would you trade your MVP trophy for a Super Bowl ring? He said no. Wow. Well, by him saying that, that opens up a lot of worms, a lot of cans. Because as a quarterback, you're supposed to be the leader of the team that takes your team to the championship. Well, he actually won the MVP in 2015, I believe it was. That is the year when Carolina made it to the Super Bowl. Great football team that year. Cam was playing great for the most part. But when he got to the Super Bowl, he ran up against those Broncos. And nip and tuck affair all the way. But Cam Newton had the opportunity right then to cement his legacy in NFL football on one drive. He had the football in his hands with one drive to go win his team the championship. But doing that, no, I do not, M. Conk. In doing that, there was a play in there when he dropped back to pass and either the ball got knocked out of his hand or he fumbled it. I can't remember exactly what happened. What I do remember, and I will always remember this if I live to be 138, the man stood there and watched the ball lying on the ground with the championship and all the team's goals, everything right there in front of him. He stood there and watched the other team pick up the ball. That was the major difference in the game. I was late in the game, not saying that he had an opportunity to score is what I'm trying to say. And now, when you come back and you look at what he said recently, you have to go back and look at that game. You have to go back and look at that play where he didn't try to get on the ball to win the game for his teams. Now, his teammates didn't roast him for that at the time, but a lot of people did. I'm standing there stupefied looking down at this play, like, why is this man not falling on the football? But everybody gave him a break. But now, 10 years later, to come out and say that the MVP trophy is more important than a Super Bowl ring, it lets everybody know, including your former teammates, that this might have been what it was all about all along, your individual glory. So by saying that, what seemed to be harmless to him, he let everybody know where he was coming from all along. So his old teammates, they're now going to look at him and they don't have to wonder anymore because he was all after individual glory all along. And I think that is a problem. So I'll pose a question. Do you think that is a problem? Which one is more important, individual glory or team glory? Now, you have to play well to get to a certain point to advance. You don't necessarily have to be on a winning team to go to different levels. There's a lot of guys in the pros that never won anything. They get to the pros and they might win a little bit, but that's not what they're used to. They're there because they're good players. But then you also have some who are hard workers. And they get to be hard workers because they have found themselves a way to be an integral part of their team. And without them, the team doesn't go. So that also brings into the question, is the real reason that the Kansas City Chiefs are pretty much the dominant franchise right now, is that because they play as a team? More so than the other teams? I think so. Because when the game is on the line, you have to cohese as a team to execute those plays in those tense situations. And if you're all about your individual glory, that concept is foreign to you. And you're not going to be able to make those plays. But what do we see week in and week out? The Chiefs making the plays when it counts the most. Now, some of that is divine intervention. Some people say they get cheated on. Maybe they get a bad call or two every now and then. But when you listen to what Newton's saying, it's in black and white. The Chiefs are doing what they do because they have that old school mentality of playing as a team. Everybody else, not so much. And this all came about, because the NFL award show is tomorrow. They have that Super Bowl week all the time where they give out the MVP, and I believe they reveal the entrance to the Hall of Fame also. So it's a very exciting time for people receiving these awards. And they're going to do that tomorrow night. And the question is, should Lamar Jackson, if he won the MVP for a third time, is that something he really wants? Because do you want a shelf full of MVP trophies, or do you want some championship? In other words, it doesn't look great on his resume to win all these MVPs and not win a championship, not even get to the championship. So I don't think Jackson will want that trophy because it symbolizes futility in a lot of ways. So it's kind of like mocking the system in a way. And I think that it will put more pressure on him if he did win the trophy, because every time the playoffs come around, that's going to add more weight to his shoulders, and he's going to go out there and try to prove the critics wrong. And it's not a good thing. So in his advantage, it might just be to allow Josh Allen or have Josh Allen to win the award. You can't allow anything. But he played well enough to get it. Allen played well enough to get it, but you already got two and brought you into championships, and it's just going to bring you more grief. Because if you go through your whole career and all you got is, let's just say you win five trophies, five MVP trophies, but no championships, was your career really a success? But it all goes back to modernity. The way these players are now, I think Cam Newton is the poster child for him. And he's, 34 or 35 now? He's just like them. They're only out for themselves. They're going to college now, and they're not concerned about winning the championship. They're trying to see what kind of NIL deals they can make. You can't blame them. I mean, you're going to play football anyway. I mean, the money is something you negotiate before you even get to the game. Once the games begin, you're not thinking about how much money you're making. But you do know if you play well, your NIL deals and your sponsorships and all these different things, they will increase if you play well. But once the ball is kicked off, you're not thinking about that at that second. It's time to play now, and we'll worry about the business end later. But as long as these guys keep making all this money from NIL and now they got to pay the players roster money, it's just going to get worse. So the team game is going to decrease. Now you take a team like Notre Dame, as stiff as they could be, they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. If you can put together a team that plays together as a team, then you can still compete. Because when the game is on the line, these star players, they're not going to show up, man. And I just think that the fact that he would say something like that, and knowing that there's film out there of him standing there watching the ball on the ground and the championship go away because you're focused on individual glory and not what your team could have done. I think that is disappointing, and it puts his picture on the poster of what these modern players believe in. So again, the reason that Kansas City keeps winning nowadays is because they're the team that plays more like a team. They're not so much individuals. You got guys on the team that make a lot of plays, and you know who they are, Mahomes. But Mahomes is not that kind of player where he's only focused on individual stuff. And because of that, when the game is on the line, the Chiefs, you're going to have to beat them, man. You can't talk about it. You can't blame the refs. You got to go out and make the play. Because, you know, bad calls are going to happen. They're going to happen both ways. I know it seems like they get the lion's share of that. It looks like that all the close games, people are saying it's scripted. Well, if it is, they sure scripted them to be an old-fashioned team as opposed to individuals. Now, while I got you here, I just want to ask you a quick question. In baseball, in high school baseball, down in Florida, I can't speak on the rest of the nation, but this is how it used to be. When we were kids, we were coming up, we would go play City League or, you know, might be some summer programs beyond City League where you got an opportunity to go play baseball. Didn't cost you anything because those programs were funded by the city. Well, now, about 25 years ago, I should say, they started coming up with these travel ball teams, all-star teams, if you will, where you had to pay to play. And your money was going to get your uniforms, you own all that stuff, and you pay for your expenses when you go on the road. Well, what it came down to, baseball, is who had the money is the ones who got the skills to play. So what happens is these guys, they tend to get picked up or go to schools where they have an opportunity to win. They want to win a championship, right? They want to be visible. But what's left, in a lot of these public schools are a victim of this. You get kids that want to play baseball, but they never had the money to play, and they show up in the 9th grade or 10th grade talking about they want to play baseball. Well, if you got a whole bunch of players like that, and they don't have the skills, they still have to go compete on a varsity level. So how is it that you can build a team nowadays if you're in that situation? It makes it awfully difficult. All you can do is drill. But in the game, if they don't perform what they've been taught, then it doesn't make the coaches look very, very good. And all the people know looking at the game is it's the coach's fault. Well, it's much deeper than the coach. It's a societal kind of thing. If you want your kid to play baseball nowadays and you want that kid to be good, you're going to have to get that kid out there early enough to get some action so they can develop their skills. Now, on the flip side of that, those with aptitude that have the aptitude to play, it don't take that long once you start to get some basic skills. Your progress is going to be steady and you're going to come along. But seems to me, in this systemized day and age, if you're focused on baseball, you're going to come at baseball at a young age. You're not going to wait till you get to high school talking about, I want to play baseball. You would already try to learn your skills before you got to that point. But that is not what I'm seeing. The teams with the travel ball players are the ones that can play. Everybody else, you get what you get. And it's up to the team to develop that. And it's hard to do when you're starting from zero and you're playing against varsity competition. Now, when you started at a young age, you're playing against kids on the same level and you grow together. But if you come into high school and you hadn't played, you're years behind. So I don't know how to flip that unless you can get a program where you pretty much 24/7 at it, and we all know that's impossible. So the question is, how do you build a team in that particular situation? You got a suggestion? I'd love to hear your thoughts. But just to recap what I said, today we were talking about Cam Newton and his comments about he'd rather have an MVP trophy or keep his MVP trophy as opposed to a Super Bowl ring. If he had never made the Super Bowl and had he not had the opportunity to, that last drive to get down the field, then you probably can excuse what he said. But the year he won the MVP was the year that he had a chance to win the Super Bowl. He was one drive away with the ball in his hand, and when the ball hit the ground, he stood there and looked at it with the expectation that somebody else pick up the ball. So now, if you back it up 10 years, and you realize what happened then in the lens of what he just said, you have to wonder, did he do that on purpose? Or was he expecting somebody to do it because he's a quarterback and he don't pick up the balls? Interesting questions to ask, man. All right, M.A. Town says, that's all for sports. Now parents are spending money on trainers for 6-year-olds. Okay, let me ask you this, M.A. Has that 6-year-old showed aptitude to be a top-notch player? Or if that is not the case, can trainers at 6-year-old build a great player moving forward? Is that a guarantee? Or is it just a shot in the dark by the parents? That's what I want to know. All right, it's individual honor. Let me check the poll here. 67% says individual honor is now greater than team accomplishment. Well, again, I disagree with that. Now, when you're trying to take care of your family, you have to play well enough, and you have to keep playing well enough to keep your job so you can keep earning. And as you earn, then you get the compensation to take care of your family, and you get your honors that way. But I think team sports are just that. You have to perform as a team if you're going to reach the highest you can reach. All right. It's not a guarantee, it's a long shot. It's definitely a long shot, but I say let the kid go out in the yard and play, and let's see what you're going to be good at. And then once you show aptitude towards something, then put the money behind that. But the parents aren't doing that. They putting them in a position where they want them to play what they want them to play. And a lot of times the kid, they rebel against that when they get to be teenagers. So if the kid really loves the sport, it would be evident. And if he didn't want to play the sport, that would also be evident. But most of the kids, they're not going to say too much. Or in my generation, we wouldn't have said anything. But now kids pretty much tell the parents what to do. And I got a problem with that too. But just the way football is, baseball is right now. Not so much football. You have the Pop Warners, and that hasn't changed a whole lot. But that's completely different from baseball, in my opinion. Pop Warner teams do travel, but it's not like they're traveling every week. They usually play in a league, And if they advance beyond their league, then they will go down the road at that point. But normally, like teams in Jacksonville, they're not going very far unless they make it to state level or some other competition where they go on the road. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Towns. It's just ridiculous the way things are right now. But yeah, I saw a game last night when you had one of those private schools, and they're loaded to bear, and they keep reloading with players with experience. What they do, they shop around, try to find the best place to go for their kid, and then they all go into the same place. Now, in other sports in high school in Florida, they can move around now like they want to move, and because of that, they may go with their buddies to go play together, and then they go to another school to play with the other buddies for another sport. You can do that in Florida now, but I still don't think it's right where you can just pick and choose where you want to go for athletic purposes. You're not trying to really help your team build. You're just moving around trying to get yourself more visible and hopefully in the process win a championship. But if you got a team of all-stars playing against a rural team of kids who grew up together since the 4th grade, and they band and they build a team together, and you make it to the championship, and then you run up in the championship game against a team from players from all over the place, and they beat you by 30 points. Can you really call them a champion? I don't, because that's not what high school sports is supposed to be about. You know, you're supposed to teach these kids to build and learn and go from there, not to band with the next guy from a completely different jurisdiction just so you can say you're a champion. Only thing that does is make the coach look good, because if you're really good enough to play, then it doesn't matter where you play, you're going to be found by the scouts. Also, if you're not the right height and weight to fit what these scouts are looking for, it don't make a difference if you won 10 state championships in high school. You're not getting a scholarship. And with the scholarship limits being reduced, that's going to be even tighter now, because some of the guys that are on the college rosters where you might have 150 in the whole program, that's going to be reduced down to 105 now because they got to pay them. So they're not going to pay you if you're not progressing and producing. So those extra 40, 45 players that you would have had, now they got to go to lower levels to find another team. And if you can't make it on this team on the D1 level, you're probably not going to make it on the next team on the D1 level. So all the top tier teams are going to be stacked, and it's going to filter down from there into Division 2, 3, and so on, if you want to play football. Town say, I'm in Virginia, I coach football and basketball for youth. There's no stability in sports. Parents will have their kid ride the bench just to be on the winner. I don't agree with that. Why would you? What would be the advantage of being on the bench of a state champion? I mean, if you're not contributing at all, you're just wasting time. It just seemed to me that this kid, unless he's coming in and mop up time and getting some kind of experience, but just to be on the team that wins the championship and you don't play, I don't think you gain anything from that. So I don't make a whole lot of sense to me, man. But it's just kind of strange to me, man. But these players here, they're taking the best players and they're all grouping up together and they're playing together and they go win a championship. And they brag about it and, you know, creaming in the faces of other teams. And when you boil it all down, the only glory that's being had there is by the coach, because look, coach, he's going to state championship, he's winning all these games, but how is he winning all these games? And they allow it to happen, so there's not much you can say about it. But when it comes down to it, these coaches are just like the players who want individual glory. They come up against a team that you can't just push around because you got the best talent. Now it comes down to coaching. And if you can't coach your way out of a bag and you've been relying on the players to make a play all the time, you're going to lose. That's why all these hotshot coaches in high school, they don't do so well as they start to move up. The best coaches in the world are in the NFL, football-wise, because the talent is all equal. There's not a whole lot of difference between the worst team and the best team. It comes down to coaching. And that's why Reed has been effective, because he comes up with all these different wrinkles to put players in different situations that you had expected. And they call a play to kill you at the right time. Take Spagnuolo on defense. He held back that corner blitz against Buffalo, zone blitz, cat blitz from the corner. And Buffalo wasn't expecting that. They were looking at another read, and when the blitz came, they didn't have time to adjust it. Now, had they sprung that on him earlier, then Buffalo would have been expecting something like that. So it comes down to coaching, man. If you can't coach, manage a game, and you're depending strictly on your talent, the evaluators from college who want you to be a coach on the next level, they're going to see all of that. So that's why you see a lot of coaches that never get beyond the high school level. But then you have some coaches who move right up. You know, Mike Holmgren was a high school coach. They start and they show that aptitude and they move up and they keep on moving up till they reach the highest level. But you know, you can win 1,000 games, and if you can't coach, then you're not going very, very, very far than where you are now. But I will say this, because I was going to make this point earlier. What we're talking about with all these players moving around like this and everybody's looking for individual glory is turning the stomachs of a lot of coaches. And it's causing a lot of coaches to get away from the whole game. And you're bringing in coaches behind that with no experience, and they're just like the players. So what are you really teaching these athletes? I think that the whole system is going to turn on itself, because in 33 states now, high school players can get NIL money. I know a lot of places like Texas and Georgia, coaches can make a lot of money just coaching football. But in Florida, the supplements, well, you might make $5,000 in the public schools at the most. Then you might get more than that if you're in the private schools. But if you get a whole lot of kids on your team, they get NIL money and they're making more money than the coach. I can see that as a potential problem that's going to explode. I see it every year. Yeah, that's true. In fact, I like your content, brother. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk yesterday. I had to go get me one of those ultrasounds to make sure I wasn't stroke territory, so I'm good. But I just hate the way that the systems are going right now. But if you can get your athlete in there and you can thrive and you can get seen, then it can be lucrative down the line. You don't have to make professional sports anymore to get paid. College is the new professional sports. So if this 6-year-old kid that you're talking about, Towns, he's got a trainer and he goes all the way through the system and he's able to have that payoff by going to college, then it would be worth it. But I can tell you right now, for the most part, no, most people aren't going to make it. All you're doing is professionalizing this kid at a very young age, and by the time you get to high school, he's going to rebel. He's going to want to be a kid, and that's going to be a problem for the parents who've been spending all this money this whole time. But I see it last night. You got an all-star team going up against a team that has no experience. So it's going to take somebody that got to get the kids to believe in themselves and drill just to be competitive. And even if you can get them to get their skills down, now you got to find a pitcher. If the pitcher in baseball can't get it across the plate, then you can't win. I don't care what level you're on. And that's where it gets really bad, because I'll put it to you this way. I don't know what the records are, but I played on a Little League team, and we went to the top of the 5th. We were tied 6-6. By the time we got out, they scored 35 runs in the 5th inning. Now, they have rules in place that will stop the game if you're the home team. But we were the visiting team, so that means no matter how many runs we scored, the other team would have a chance to bat. So we stayed up. It had to be about an hour. They must have changed pitchers 7 or 8 times, and we scored 35 runs in the top of the 5th. I don't know what the record is, but you know, it's not that we were that great, but it's just that the circumstance put us in that position. Had we been the home team, and once we got up to a 10-point lead in the 5th inning, they would have stopped the game. But by being the road team, they had to give us our full at bat, so the other team would have a chance to win. They finally got us out, and you can tell they didn't want to play. And it was just a matter of getting the ball up there to get 3 strikes, and that game was over with. And yeah, but we won that game 41-6, 35 runs in the 5th inning. And it can get like that in high school because you have a disparity of talent. that put you in those positions. But that game we played, we were on an equal level. It just so happened that it snowballed in our favor. And I've seen it happen in high school where the talent was just so diverse, so bizarre, so different that you don't have a chance, man. But that's the way things are. And if you're in that position, all you can do is keep working. But I know one thing, if you're going to beat me like that, score, you can score, because I'll be back. Eventually, those players that you're dealing with come in as a ninth grade, they are going to get better. And as they get better, you are going to come back. I'm in one of these places where the lights go out, so you don't move around. So get the lights turned back on. All right, but if you're in one of those places, you just got to keep working, man. And I think that's what's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, because those 9th, 10th graders, they're going to be seniors one day if they stick with it, and they be pretty decent. But it still comes down to, can you get across the plate? But anyway, it was very interesting what Newton says. He's always full of interesting comments. You think he's saying the greatest things in the world sometimes, but he doesn't realize how silly he sounds. And for him to say that it's best to keep his MVP trophy and not get the Super Bowl, and realize that the year you got the MVP was the year that you had a chance to win the Super Bowl, and now you saying that MVP trophy was more important than winning, you just lost respect. Your teammates just lost respect for you on that team. They're going to go back and they're going to look at that fumble in a different way now, because they're thinking one thing in the moment, and they give you a pass because you're their leader, but they're going to look at it now like he only concerned about individual glory. And because of that, they don't look at him the same anymore. But Newton, he doesn't care. He's got his money, and he thinks he's superior because he got his money as a quarterback. But it still comes down to respect. Whatever you do, you want to do the best you can at it so you can garner respect for yourself. But if all you care about are individual awards, then you're not going to ever gain that respect. That's why Mahomes right now is the man. He's going to lead the Chiefs because they are a team. All these other players, they're just individuals. And as long as you have individualistic thoughts, teams like Kansas City are going to keep right on winning. And they're still young enough. Hell, they can rattle off 3 or 4 more Super Bowl trips in the next 7 years. Mahomes, I don't think he's 30 yet. Brady played till he's 40. So how long is Mahomes going to play? And the way they keep changing the rules to scale back the contact, quarterback could conceivably play 42, 43. As long as he's effective, somebody's going to sign him. But what say you? But anyway, let me take a last look at this poll here. A lot of people are saying individual honor is now greater. And that's a sad thing, because what's going to happen is, just like in the NBA, the NFL is going to get that way, and people are going to stop watching. And then the powers that be are going to wonder why. How do we have such a great product that has fallen apart? Well, just take a look at the NBA, and their viewership is decreasing. Football is the king right now, but it hasn't always been the king. This was baseball. So baseball, they're trying to come back, and they had to do things like do interleague play and make other changes to make their game more exciting. But the advantage baseball has over football, they're not really legislating the contact. Now, there's no contact to legislate out of the game. So it hasn't changed a whole lot. And that makes a big difference. So I'll keep an eye on that. But yes, the NFL award show that comes on tomorrow, and we'll find out if Jackson's going to get his 3rd MVP. But like I said before, he probably shouldn't want that MVP, because this is going to put more pressure on him. The more he goes along without winning the Super Bowl, the value of those MVPs are going to just decrease. And I think he wants to go out a champion, and he still got a lot of work to do to get there, but you got to play as a team. But he took the right steps. It took a guy like Henry. Henry's a team guy, I think, and with a guy like that, you can do things. But the clock is ticking on him too. He's had so many carries in his career, he can fall apart at any time. I hope that doesn't happen to him, but I saw it happen to Sean Alexander, so he can wake up one morning and just can't do it no more, man. All right, Ricks, how you doing, man? I have MVP and Super Bowl as a player. You rather have an MVP than a Super Bowl? So you're an individual player? No. There's less MVPs than there is champions. More exclusive club to be in. No. They're going to give out an MVP trophy every year. Yes, they're going to give a Super Bowl trophy out every year, but you only have a small window to win championships. So I think if you're strictly for individual honors, then maybe you should run track or something. But if you're going to play football and you playing for yourself, that's going to spell trouble down the line. So let's just say you got a lineman, he got his quota for pancake blocks for the day, but when it's time to win the game, he don't want to play anymore because he's met his quota. So he's going to let the guy come through and kill your quarterback because he's got his quota. He's done his individual job. So what does he really care now? I don't care if you hit the quarterback. That's not me. That's what they think. But is that good for a football team? No. All right, it's 53 Super Bowl champions every year, only one MVP. Yeah, you're right. But I don't think people look at the MVPs to measure your career. You don't measure your career with how many MVPs you got. The first thing you want to know is, have you won any championships? That's what they say about the quarterbacks. Have you won any championship? Joe Montana, he's got his 4. Dan Marino, 0. A whole bunch of other quarterbacks with 0. And even though they had good careers, they might end up in the Hall of Fame. But that one thing, they don't have that championship, that's hanging over their head and it's going to stay there. But for a guy like Newton to say what he said, the more he talks, the more he just put his foot in his mouth, man. His players that he played with back then, they're gonna lose respect once they find out what he said, man, because he was supposed to be the quarterback leading us to a championship, and all you care about is individual awards. That's not good. I just like somebody teaching in high school, and all they care about is getting paid. Your job is to teach the kids, right? But you're getting paid, so you don't give a damn. Okay, are you really doing your job? No. So it correlates across the board. Did Marino have an MVP? He may have one. He's a Hall of Famer. But so what? He wants the championship. Can't get it now. You got a small window to get one. Cam Newton, he went to one Super Bowl. Think he's going to keep coming back? No. He sat there and watched the ball lay on the ground when he had a chance to win a Super Bowl, man. I'd rather be a champion over an individual award any day. These new kids nowadays, all they care about is what they can get. And if that's what you're into, so be it. But me, I'm old school. I want to win a championship because they're hard to come by. But yeah, that's 53 champions. But you don't have players that played on all those championship teams either. You only get a small window to do something. And if you're fortunate enough to win 3 or 4 Super Bowls, or like Mahomes going to your 5th, that is rare. And why is he the one going to the Super Bowl? Well, if you look at the Chiefs, regardless of what you think about them, they do play as a team. That's somebody you got to beat. And you're going to beat them talking about it. Yeah, Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson has a ring. Championship is the goal in sport. Yeah, Dilfer got a ring. But you see what happened to him? They got rid of him first chance they got because he wasn't the reason that they won a championship. He was just part of the team. He did his job. He was a role player. Everybody has a role. You do your job, and everybody does their job, then you have a chance to win, and that's what Dilfer did. Don't make the mistakes to get him in trouble. He did that. So he did his job. But me, I like I said, I'd rather have a team goal. Individual, you know what you can do, but so what? It's like Jackson. He's got 2 MVPs. So what if he wins the 3rd? What does it mean? Maybe he might make the Hall of Fame, but are you playing as a team? No. So we'll see. See, you'd rather be Trent Dilfer or Lamar Jackson. No, there's no comparison in the way that they play, but I'd rather have a Super Bowl championship where I contributed like Trent Dilfer with a guy like Lamar Jackson who may never get there. So he can run, and do all he want, but at the same time, he don't have a championship by his name. And Dilfer, regardless of what you think about him, He does have that championship. So you tell me, am I wrong? I don't think so. Come on back real quick. I got to go. But most of you people are saying that it's now a greater honor individually. Nobody cares about team goals anymore. And football is just going to go the way of the dinosaur. What you're going to see is what you see in the Pro Bowl, flag football in the next 20 or so years. As they keep dumbing down the contact, that's exactly what's going to happen. All right, what do you think the Rams can get for Kupp? They can't afford this remaining 2 years, $40 million contract. Well, the word I had on Kupp that he was going to retire. And if he does retire, then that'll help the Rams in that case. But I don't think he is not going to be much value at this point. I think he's just going to retire, or they're going to cut him and be a free agent, so he can be a free agent. But the Rams are not going to lose much in that bargain. Maybe a late round draft choice, but I'm not sure about that. But we'll see. But anyway, I like to rap with you guys, man. I've been on here for about 40 minutes. I got that interview I told you guys about today, that football opening that I got a chance to get. So I got to get ready for that today. I got a couple other things I need to take care of. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys on the flip side, man. I got to go to work. And I just think it's interesting that Cam Newton will say what he says. All right, real quick. Once you win MVP, what's the next goal? Another MVP or championship? A championship. That's why Jackson, shouldn't want that MVP. And Rick says too many other components are going to a champ. You're correct. NBA is different. Play the whole game. If I'm a great quarterback with a trash defense, I may never make it. Well, you can build around your quarterback. If you got a couple key pieces nowadays, it doesn't take long to put together a team. So that's just the way that goes. You can build it if you stick with it and get some consistency. Like, don't fire your head coach because you got a bad defense. Go ahead and put it together, man. Brian Fogler, Ricky Ricks, you guys peace out, man. Have a good day, and I catch you guys on the flip side, man. I got to go to work, man. Last thing, all right, 80-20 individual. All right, you guys have a great day, man. I'm out of here. Peace.